Show with Orlana Darkins Jury, your connection to events, topical interests, issues, and the movers and shakers in our world, and the opportunity to learn things that make you say, oh. Today, I am thrilled to have with us LoRen's, a talented singer and songwriter with deep roots in ministering through music. She's here to talk about her journey, her faith, and her upcoming event, No Covers, which is all about showcasing original music from local artists. LoRen's, welcome to the O Show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Lady O. This is an honor to be on your show and just to share some of the things that I've done on my journey. And I'm just so excited to be here. I just love you so much.
Thank you so much. So I'm so glad you had time to share with me and my audience. I know you're super busy planning your upcoming show, but before we dive into the details about that, can you tell us about your journey as a singer and songwriter, especially growing up in the church, ministering through music? How has that influenced your career?
Yeah, ministering and growing up in the church is just, it's my complete foundation. It's in everything that I do. My dad is a pastor, was a pastor when I was a kid. And I grew up singing in the choir. I grew up in a small church that was very close, more like a family. And that has seeped its way into everything I do now as an adult. I started writing music when I was really young, probably around I think 9 or 10. I just started writing songs from the encouragement of my mom. That's a long story, but she encouraged me and other before and after school students that she had in her daycare to write, and we wrote music. And it became something that was really fun for us. And then I have just never stopped doing it since then. And growing up in the church, those kids that I grew up with were my best friends. They created lifelong relationships that I still have. And that's been really sweet because I think before I even was saved, I was able to have this community of believers and family that I had before I even really knew or accepted Jesus into my life. So that was really sweet growing up. There was a lot of struggles being a pastor's kid. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of eyes on you, especially when you're in a small church. And, my dad had, multiple jobs at the time and was always putting God first. And he was always in the center of our home. There was a lot of rough times with that, just having that pressure of being a pastor's kid. And sometimes I would succumb to it. Sometimes I would just be overwhelmed and be very anxious about that. But I'd say all in all, it affected my music and my creativity in a way in which I can be very vulnerable and empathetic, I hope. Just with my story, I think is a lot of people's story about growing up in the church, but still falling in love with Jesus. And now I'm able to commit my art to him. But it's still me and it's still fun. So yeah, church is I grew up singing in the church, and it's a big part of my life to this day.
And your music, how do you categorize it? Because is it gospel music? Is it pop? What genre do you fall under?
Yes, this has been the fight of my existence. Where are we? What are we doing? And I think what's my last project that I released, which was entitled Pardon Me. I think I really identified who I am as an artist, as an indie artist, as a, indie singer-songwriter. So I have inspirational music. I really have a lot of folk vibes to my music. There's even a gospel feel to it. And talking to just different artists. They're it goes into the indie singer-songwriter world. So although I want to be identified as somebody who's spreading the gospel, I want Jesus to return and say, she spread the gospel. My music, the sounds are really indie and, singer-songwriter vibes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no. I mean, and that's why I asked, because listening to your music, for me, it crosses multiple genres. And I wasn't sure if you know, picked one
Yeah, right. Like, where we at? What we doing?
or maybe you're creating your own genre.
Yeah. Hey, I'm down with that too. Hey.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. I
Let's do
used to work about like being categorized as like a gospel artist. And I think the more that I've matured in my faith and just in who I am, I'm like, hey, I am a gospel. I'm spreading the gospel through my music. I want to be, in a sense, a gospel artist. So, but I love talking about issues that are current events and just different issues that are going on in the world and different things that I think that God has placed on my heart. So those things sometimes fall into like the indie, category. But yeah, I think that's where we are right now.
I think you should just think about just creating your own genre and then just saying that's the genre I'm in. But anyone who listens to your music, I mean, you will definitely get various vibes. You'll get you'll get a soulsy vibe, you'll get a folksy vibe, you'll get a gospel vibe. Like depending on the song, you do get that vibe. So
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, I appreciate it. So this is your fourth year of an original event you created called No Covers. So for those of us who do not know, tell us what it is, what's the concept behind this event, and why it's so important to you.
Yes, I would love to share that. No Covers is my first baby. I have 2 kids, but No Covers came before that. And No Covers is a live music experience. I like to see it, I like to share it as a visual art piece because there's no MC, there's no host. The artist and their music and their interviews, they speak for them. So the event is kind of set up as an art piece. So I do interviews with the artist months prior. We just gather what they want to say, gather what they want to share about themselves with the event. So we talk about the song they're going to perform, and we have that interview play that we did prior. We have that play right before the song that they perform, and it's the same live band. So we try to make it seamless. So each artist gets up and performs, and their interview speaks for them prior to the performance. Interview, performance. And we just try to make it a seamless, beautiful event where you can promote our favorite 2-step, which is the dance between artists and their listeners. So that's really one of my favorite things about No Covers. Now, No Covers, No Covers. It's funny. My daughter always says, Mom, you said no covers. Because if I put the covers on her, she'll be like, Mom, you said no covers. So what is No Covers? Often artists who are unknown are just artists that are really trying to share where they're placed in the music industry, or just kind of, or if they just have a song on their heart they want to share. If they're requested to sing a song, they're asked to sing cover songs. They're typically called songs that are covers. So I found that often as a singer-songwriter, who isn't really known by isn't necessarily famous, we have trouble being asked to perform our original music in professional settings in which they're paying well and that people are coming to listen and hear us. So the theme of the show is No Covers, because these are artists that are not exactly famous, but they're still popping, still got a lot of people that love them. And they're still so talented, but they're not going to come and do a cover song. They're going to do their original song. They're songwriters. They have thought-provoking music that is clean and encouraging in some form, and they're often different genres. So No Covers first started with me performing at an event years ago where I felt like I just did terrible, if I'm honest. I just got up there and I just didn't do well. And I was performing a cover song. I was only requested to come and sing a song that was a cover. And the song that I was asked to sing just was something that it was like a pop dance song. I was dancing. I was looking crazy. And in hindsight, after I performed, I was like, I can't do music if I'm going to get up and perform songs that have nothing to do with my artistic mission and who I am as an artist. So that's where No Covers came from. And with the help and the encouragement of the Kelly Strayhorn Theater And the KST, the cohort I was in years ago, with some really great artists in Pittsburgh, I was able to kind of really form and have my first like demo note covers. And it went so good that we were like, let's run this back every year.
I love it. I love it. And when you are forming your no covers event, when selecting the artist to perform, like what do you look for?
Well, first I'm listening to a ton of different artists' music in Pittsburgh. So the goal right now, because I want to continue to expand it to different cities, but for now, the goal is to really enhance and support the Pittsburgh music scene. So my first thought is, are they a Pittsburgh-based artist? Because my community and where I live and I reside, my first priority, honestly, is to like, how can we enhance our table right here in Pittsburgh? So that's the first thing I look for. The second thing is, okay, is this person telling stories in their music? Because often we have the lyrics written behind the artist during the No Covers show. We have their lyrics behind them so that the viewers can see what the artists are saying. And if a song is more simple and if something is more repetitive and just has more of a pop nature and not lyrical, I tend to, just for this event, I steer away from that because of the highlight on lyrics that we have for this particular show. So lyrics are a big thing. And then clean, things that can be clean. I want to make sure that there isn't anything, just from my own personal convictions. I don't prefer to have any profanity in the show. It's just something that's personal. There's no other real reason for that. And then, people that are doing this professionally, this isn't an open mic. This isn't like a situation where it's like, oh yeah, she can sing. These are people that have devoted their lives to music and they do it professionally, and you can trust that you'll come and you'll witness incredible talent. And that's what I try to look for. And then I send it to a few. Now I have a no covers team, which is exciting because before it was all me, just like, boop, 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 my own little circus. But now it's way better because I have more people to work with me and to tell me, hey, that's not a good idea, or hey, that is a good idea. And it's just making us stronger. So the whole team looks at everybody. And I feel like the artists we have this year are just another group of just, honestly, just local heroes and stars,
Your comment about now having a no covers team kind of sets me up for my next question, because every event has its ups and downs. So what have been some of the challenges you faced in coordinating no covers, this being your fourth year? And again, what makes it all worth it for you?
I think I came into this as a strong Black woman. I'm going to do everything by myself. And as I've grown and as I've had more shows, I've learned that if I continue to do that in this particular setting and with event planning, if I continue that, it just comes off unprofessional. Although my heart is in the right place, the professionalism and what my viewers experience just won't match exactly what I hoped if I don't delegate. So that's one thing that has been very important to me this time, especially with having a new baby and things like that, which was making sure that I delegated well and that I didn't try to micromanage, that I had a team and that I trusted my team. That was the biggest thing, that if I give somebody a task, that I don't hover, that I say, hey, I trust you with that task. And the people that I'm working with, which are some prior no cover artists, they came back to be a part of the team. They have been nothing but fuel and just elevated everything to a new level. So I was thankful for that. The biggest thing for me is just making sure that I could be, now that I'm able to be a part of a team and then take that support and take their criticism and run with it. And then just keeping the show on the road, right? Like just making sure that we meet the different deadlines that we have hard deadlines. And what makes it all worth it for me is the fact that There's been years, especially during the pandemic, when we had a virtual show where artists had came up to me and said, this was the only time that I had a paid show this year. And that was exciting, especially during the pandemic when I think I probably could count on one hand the shows that I was even asked to do and paid for. So it was a time where it felt like, wow, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to each year pay artists a little bit more to do the same amount of work. So as funding increases, I want their pay to increase, but I don't want to increase the amount of work they do. I just want to be able to better, be able to better pay them for their already incredible talent that is honestly priceless, So it's exciting to be able to give back to that world in Pittsburgh of artists that are working and that deserve great pay for their skill and their dedication.
I love it. In addition to the show and paying artists for their talent, what additional impact do you think No Covers has had on Pittsburgh's already rich music scene?
Yes, I think No Covers has had a great impact thus far. The impact I think I've seen the most is I see artists of different genres connecting and collaborating that didn't know each other before No Covers. So you'll see this folk artist now, they're on this hip hop track, and you're like, these people would have never crossed paths if we didn't, get the show together and really like share this table together in a way that I think is extremely unique, because you often see shows where original music is highlighted, but I think the way that I'm very intentional about making sure the genres are very different. Each artist has from a different genre. I think that's made it very special to see those alliances formed far after the show. So I see people that are friends or new shows that are coming up that's like, oh, Pittsburgh does want more of this. I see any show that's for original music or live music that comes after No Covers that's similar to it, or that could be any sort of, competition towards it. I'd see it as we are doing the right thing because we want more events like this. We want more. Like Pittsburgh deserves more. We have such incredible artists here. So to see those alliances happen. And then I remember one of my friends who only listens to hip hop music was like, oh, that country artist that you had at the show, I'm loving their music. And it's like, wait, what? So it's really cool to introduce the audiences to artists. They would have been like, I didn't even know they were here. I didn't even know I liked rock music. And it's cool to see that dance happen. That's the dance we're looking for. So that's what I do it for, that dance that I think is really, I think Pittsburgh music scene has benefited a lot from it because you see new alliances that weren't there before.
So finally, for those listening who want to experience this incredible celebration of original music, where can they get tickets? What's the date? Where do they go to support the 4th No Covers event?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked. So it's on December 6th at 7:30 p.m. is our next No Covers. So that's next week. That's this week. No, next week. It's coming right up. We're so excited to host it again at This Is Red, which is this renovated old church that they made into this amazing studio music space that it's really an ad agency, but they just created this incredible space. That's another story. I could go on and on about that. So This Is Red is the location. That's in the Homestead area. You can find out all the information about No Covers at No Covers, NOCOVERS.PGH.com. So you can get your tickets there. You can learn more about me, and then you can learn more about the event. And all that is in the same place.
LoRen, national recording artist and creator of No Covers, thank you so much for sharing your vision and your journey with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
And for everyone listening or watching, you're listening to The Show with Orlana Darkins Jury. Until next time, keep shining. Welcome to The Show with Orlana Darkins Jury, your connection to events, topical interests, issues, and the movers and shakers in our world, and the opportunity to learn things that make you say, oh, bone marrow donation is often the difference between life and death for those battling illnesses like leukemia and lymphoma. With only about 7% of the U.S. population listed on the National Registry, U.S. Army soldiers are stepping up to serve in a whole new way through an initiative called Operation Ring the Bell. In observance of National Marrow Awareness Month in November, U.S. Army soldier and Operation Ring the Bell founder, Sergeant Christian Sutton, is here to share his story. Sergeant Sutton, welcome to the O Show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Thank you. So let's dive right in. What is Operation Ring the Bell, and how did it get started?
Okay, so Operation Ring the Bell is it's an Army-wide campaign to take the Army from being one of the lowest contributing branches in the military to the national donor database at around 800 a year to one of the largest in the United States. It's run by me and a big group of other junior soldiers in the Army, just kind of grassrooting and pushing this effort and getting effective programs established. It got started 2.5 years ago in El Paso, Texas. I went to a punk rock concert when I had some time off work. I hate punk rock. So instead of noticing the show, I noticed this table in the back that was registering people to as bone marrow donors about 10 feet away from the mosh pit. And something about that duality of man, I guess, this humanitarian effort right next to the mosh pit. I just went, I think this can work in the Army. So I reached out to them a couple months later and got connected to Sleep to Life, which is the DoD's registry program which was established around 30 years ago, and learned that Fort Bliss has not had any registry drives of any kind in over 10 years. So I just started doing it as a hobby. It's weird. I started going around to Fort Bliss, going around talking to different leaders, saying, hello, I'm Special Sutton. I run the bone marrow program for Fort Bliss, which was not a lie because it's true by default. And getting them to let me come out and talk to the soldiers about bone marrow. And it just kind of went from that, where I was able to register more than the Army did in a year and 6 months, to me helping others do these drives at their bases, to eventually setting out to make the contributions we were doing enduring and scale, and just start getting the Army to really take this effort seriously.
I've never heard of initiative starting at a punk rock concert, so that is a first. What was it about bone marrow donation that drew you to it? What made that so interesting to you?
Well, I think initially when you see bone marrow donation anywhere, it's kind of like, it's just such an odd subject. There's just out of left field so much that it's going to catch your eye. But my mom died of Hodgkin's lymphoma when I was 4, so I still had a personal connection to it. But when I saw the table, I don't know why it stuck out to me. I don't know why I remembered it 3 months later, but I just decided, let me see if I can get involved. I did volunteer work all the time, and I just saw it originally as just another, similar to, registering at the food bank, just another way I can help my community a little bit. I didn't know it'd get this far.
And you know what? I was thinking that too. You hear a lot about donating food. You hear a lot about donating blood. Bone marrow donation, you don't hear about. And I can understand why that would grab your attention at a concert, like donating bone marrow. So what is it specifically about bone marrow donation that makes it so important?
So very different from donating plasma or blood, where you can just go and do it tomorrow. And it's as long as they're the same blood type as you, they can take your blood. Bone marrow donation is not quite like that. If let's say you get cancer, you get leukemia, and you go through chemo, and you it damages, it has to be such intense chemo that it damages your bone marrow's ability to reproduce itself. You basically have no immune system, and you need to get a donation of bone marrow, just a small amount, like jump-starting a car, to get your immune system back up and kicking. It's the only chance we really have, and currently in the United States, you have about 6% of the population on this database, and that ends up equating to about a coin's toss chance for each individual person to find a bone marrow donor. So we have about 50-50 shot. There's tons of conditions that need it, but essentially what you need to find to get that donation is you need to find someone who's almost genetically identical to you. It's not like blood, it's more like donating an organ. You have to find someone who's so close to you genetically that your body won't see it as a foreign body and reject it. And they have to be a near identical match, and that's not going to be found in your family. You can only find it because there's 8 billion of us on the planet. Statistically, you have a genetic twin out there somewhere. And the only way to find them is to have them on that database. Just have a big, diverse database of different types, just so you can find them. They might be in Wisconsin somewhere. You don't know. But if they're not on a database, you're flipping the coin.
That's interesting, because as you were talking, I was thinking, oh, okay, if I need bone marrow, I'll just ask one of my sisters. But you said it's not necessarily you're a match with somebody in your family.
Yeah, no. You have about a 30% chance of finding them in your family. 70%, you're going to have to find them somewhere completely unrelated to you.
Wow. Okay. That is very interesting. So in terms of someone who's listening and they're like, I'm interested in this, I want to get involved, I want to help, what's the process? Is there someplace special you go? Is donating bone marrow, is it time consuming? Is it painful? What's the details about that?
Well, for that last part of the question, it's my favorite question. How do you think they take out bone marrow?
You know what? I do not know.
Take a guess.
Well, in my brain, I'm thinking it's some kind of needle, and they're sticking it in my arm, and they're extracting the marrow.
Yeah, they're stabbing you in the bone.
Yeah.
A lot of people think spinal tap. They think stabbing in the bone. People know the process a little bit more, where they say it's the femur. In reality, despite, and I can confirm this because I've registered 15,000 people at this point, and briefed a lot more than that. People don't know. You take it out of your blood, just like donating plasma. If you've sold plasma or some extra scratch, you've done the same process as donating bone marrow. They take stem cells from your bloodstream. 90% of the time they do this. And they use that to basically get the same end product they would get if they went to your bones. They don't have to. The only time anyone gets stabbed in the bone, gets that direct extraction from their hip, is if it's a high-risk infant. At that point, deal with the sore leg for 3 days.
Okay. So it's fairly easy, and it's something that many of us have already done already, but we are donating plasma and not specifically saying you want to donate bone marrow. Do you go to the same place, or where do you go to donate bone marrow?
It all depends on, I guess, the patient or where you're at, or where the doctor feels is best. Often, if you do have to travel, they'll just cover every expense you have. They'll cover your per diem, your travel. If you got kids, they'll pay for someone to stare at your kids while you're gone. If you got a dog, they'll pay for someone to stare at your dog. They'll pay for whatever you need. They'll cover your wages, whatever you need to get that donation done, because it's really, you are the only chance that person has if you're asked to be a match.
And then again, why should someone say today, yes, you know what, I want to give bone marrow?
It's not even necessarily you're saying I want to give bone marrow, because most people likely won't. The chance of you being a match for somebody who needs a donation is pretty slim. It's about 1 in 430 chance in your lifetime, if you register today, that you would be asked to donate between now and when you're 65, which is when you'd be taken off the database. If you are on it, though, you are increasing everyone's general chances of finding that match. As of right now, going by ethnicity, you need more people on it. White people have a 79% chance of finding a donor because Germany has 80% of its population on the database, but African Americans have a 29% chance of finding a donor. Hispanics have a 34% chance of finding a donor, and it's just because there's not enough people on that database to pull from. People should be on that registry because, let's say your family member does need donation. You need to know if you're a part of that 30% that could donate. You don't want to wait the 6 months for the paperwork to go through. The chance of you donating are so low, it's just in your best interest to be on that database, both so you can find a match faster and so you could find out if you're a match for your family. Or so you can save a life someday.
Oh, exactly. So what's next for you and the program?
We're slowly getting there. So what we're aiming to do is the last 2 years been working to take like this little grassroots effort we were doing in these little bases run by just E4 or junior soldiers, specialists, and sergeants. And we've just combined our efforts and start pushing this to higher and higher leaders in the Army to say, hey, we registered 15,000 people. We want you to take what we've learned, take what we've built, these tools and resources and techniques and everything, and establish it Army-wide. And we've gotten there. We're on the path to the Army becoming the largest source of bone marrow donor registries in the U.S. We're going to take the Army from 800. We've taken it to 15,000. And now we're going to take it to hopefully 100 to 200,000 people registered a year just from the Army alone. Wow. And that'll increase everyone's chances. So in the short term, we're establishing programs at bases and just still screaming up at the hills of the big Army brass saying, please take this. And they're responding. If people want to learn more, they want to get on that registry, they can go to salutelife.org if they're on the DoD side, like if they're military, or Be the Match, or nmdp.org. That's the same website. They redirect to the same place. NMDP. If they want to register to the civilian site, they'll send a kit to your house. If they want to learn more about the Army, go to goarmy.com. If they want to learn more about our efforts, they can Google Bone Marrow Guy, which is a fun flex.
It's you said Bone Marrow Guy?
Yeah, that's the name I was given after so long from doing this effort. People forgetting my name.
I like it. Well, thank you very much. This was a very informative interview. Operation Ring the Bell founder, Sergeant Christian Sutton, also known as Bone Marrow Guy. Thank you so much for sharing this information to us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. Thanks for having me on the Ovation.